Hello everyone, this is G and I'm back with the third video of the day. I've actually been sitting in front of a camera in one way or another since 1 p.m. and it don't stop. It doesn't stop for me this day. I guess as the saying goes, I won't sleep when I'm tired, I'll sleep when I'm done. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome back. So I wanted to discuss what I came across earlier today online. I've actually been going a bit back and forth with, let's say, someone I'm going to call Mr. Woods on Facebook. But apparently, there is some white actress, I forget her name at the moment, unfortunately. I know Clownfish TV's done a video about it. But there's a white actress for a TV show, and she was voicing a young black girl on a character, and now she is supposedly, voluntarily, I don't know how voluntary this is, but she's supposedly voluntarily walking away from this role because she thinks that it would be better served with a black person voice to this character. As you can imagine, given my other videos, especially those on blackface and the one I did on Jimmy Kimmel, as you might imagine, I am not in favor of this actress doing this. Now, I think the actress is well intentioned, to be fair. From what I can tell, I think she's sincere. All that being said, as the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And then, of course, there's the economic idea or principle of, I believe it's called perverse incentives, right? Which is basically good idea, or noble good idea, and then terrible execution, which actually causes more damage and does more harm than it could ever do good. So I just wanted to discuss this because the issue, at least with Mr. Woods that I've been debating with, is that, there needs to be more black people in voice acting, just as a rule. Now, I don't particularly understand why at the moment there needs to be more of any type of person in voice acting. That's an argument that I hear a lot when it comes to entertainment, especially when people say, this group is lacking and that's a problem. Well, my question is, why is that a problem in the first place? It's like complaining. It would be like being in Japan, right, and complaining that there aren't enough black actors because there are a few anime characters who are black or African American or whatever. You're not going to find a lot of black people in Japan. That's not where brown people went, right? When we migrated willingly and unwillingly across the world, we didn't really go to East Asia all that much. You know what I mean? So there are people who look at the fact that, there's not enough black actors, whatever that means, as inherently a problem. I'm like, okay, but I'm not sure that's a problem, number one. I don't look at numbers and automatically go, because, whites are 100 and blacks are 25, let's say, then we have a problem here. What I want to know is, why are whites 100 and why are blacks 25? And hopefully in knowing that, might be able to better ascertain whether or not there is a problem. So that's the way I tend to approach things. Perhaps it's my analytical nature, perhaps it's my professional mind at work, because I work with a lot of statistics, but I want to know the story behind the story, right? The story behind the reason. How did we get here? That is typically what I tend to be interested in when these types of things come up. So I am not the type to automatically believe this assertion that there is some sort of systemic or inherent racism in the American voice acting industry. This is not to say it doesn't have problems. Every industry has its issues, as we've seen with the Vic Mignogna situation. There's definitely issues with voice acting. It's just that, at least as of yet, I don't see where those issues are race-related. Right, so what Mr. Woods and I have been debating is, how do you go about this? How do you get more black people into voice acting? I'm of the opinion of, it's like any other job. You apply, you go on auditions, right? You win some, you lose some, you work your way up, and then when you become a Phil Lamar or a Keith David, and keep in mind, many of these people actually start out doing live action acting or theater or whatnot. If you actually listen to their life stories, not too many of them just go into VA work automatically. They usually have a very robust, I guess you could say, resume or history of just acting in general. And it's one of those things where they started out doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then they just sort of found their niche or found their home in voice acting, and that's what they've been doing since. But not too many people, at least that I know in voice acting, right, intended to become voice actors. Not too many people. Maybe as time goes on, that might happen, right? But a lot of the voice actors that we listen to and know now, right, they didn't start out at this point, right? They had to, apply for things and try different things and lose their way to find their way here. If you listen to their stories, right? So I think that you need to do, if you want to get in, right? If you want to address the problem of not enough black people or not enough POC, what you need to do is, well, encourage POC to apply for any role, so long as the person's voice, I feel like Ursula, right? I feel like Ursula right now. What I want from you is your voice, right? And market themselves on that, right? I think that's the best way. If there is a problem, I think that's the best way to address it. Audition, apply. You have the internet, make yourself an internet sensation. That's how Justin Bieber was discovered, right? Do that. Work for what you want. Instead of thinking that, oh, it's Hollywood that has the problem, or the voice acting industry that has the problem. Yes, there are issues there. But those issues don't automatically mean that you have the right to sit there and complain about how the man is holding you down. No, the man isn't holding you down. It's a hard business to break into. That's what's holding you down and holding you back. Welcome to life. Welcome to life. It's a very niche profession, right? And of course, they're going to go with the people who they know, right? Who they have connections to. They know their work. They know their worth, right? There's union issues, and there's these issues and that issues, right? Of course, 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to go for the person with experience, right? Especially when you were younger or you moved to a new job, what's one of the hardest things to do? Just to land a job, right? Because people want people who come in with some level of experience. Again, this is not a black person problem. This is a getting a job is hard problem. Okay, we've all been there. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? You have the talent, but you don't have the experience, and nobody's looking to hire you. You know what you do? You keep applying, and you keep trying, just like if you were applying for any other job that was not voice acting, right? A gig is a gig is a gig is a gig is a gig. You have to apply, you have to get rejected, you have to keep trying and trying and trying until someone finally takes a chance on you. And then when you get that chance, you run with it. You run with it and you make something of it. That, I believe, is what people should be doing. And here's the thing, right? That whole process is going to weed out the people who are not dedicated enough, who don't have what it takes, who don't have the perseverance. Again, that's not race related. That's not race related at all. You're not going to address the supposed lack of POC characters by supporting white people who, while well-intentioned, in my opinion, erroneously, walk away from a role to give to a black person. What makes you think another black person wants this role? Seriously, what makes you think that a black actor in the industry or a black actor trying to get in is looking and going, you know what? That's the intro I was looking for. That's the role, right? There's my opening. It would not surprise me one bit if, while this, again, it's a very well-intentioned gesture, that they just hired another person who is not black to fill this role. Because in the end, it is not about race when it comes to voice acting. It is about your voice. It is about your talent. It is about your name. Because yes, you're going to find it easier to find work if you're a well-known name, because people will pick stuff up because of you, right? But that's the truth of anything, right? When you're established, things are easier. When you're not established, things are harder. Again, welcome to life, right? But you're not going to solve the problem of not enough blacks in voice actor, not enough POC, or too many white people, right? By basically shaming, right, white people out of roles. Because that's assuming that every black person who supposedly doesn't have a job at the moment in the voice acting world is going to just swoop in and take in all these now available black roles. That's not the way it works. That's not the way human nature works. More importantly, and this is the main point I was arguing with Mr. Woods on Facebook, is that when you take this to its logical conclusion, nobody's going to be able to play anything except what they look like, right, or what their body is. For example, if you go with this idea that white people shouldn't play black people, right? Well, then guess what? Phil LaMarr is going to lose his iconic role of Samurai Jack, because Jack is a Japanese samurai and Phil LaMarr is a black American. Cree Summer is going to lose her roles that are non-POC characters. Right? Then we would have to retroactively take the role of Shredder, who's a Japanese man, and take that away from James Avery. Right? We would have to recast Darth Vader, right? Because it couldn't be James Earl Jones anymore, because he's black, and we all know Anakin Skywalker is white. So now we have to get a white actor to do the voice, right, of Darth Vader, right? Replace that iconic voice that everybody knows, because the actor and the character don't match and don't mesh ethnically, right? That's exactly what's going to happen if this type of mindset gets its claws in more than it already has, right? If people in Hollywood, if the people who do make the decisions listen to this, that's exactly what's going to happen. People who have been iconic in roles, been known for certain roles, are going to lose those roles. You are going to cost the people who are already in the voice acting industry, you're going to cost them work. You're going to cost Phil and Keith David and other black actors and actresses. For example, right, MK11, as much as I hate that game, and as angry as I am at NetherRealm, they did an amazing job with the voice work, with the exception of Ronda Rousey. But let's be honest, that was a celebrity casting. I don't blame them for that. As much as I don't like Dominic Cianciolo, who's an Italian, by the way, I have to give him credit on the voice directing, right? He did a bang-up job when it came to casting voice actors, right? Because, at least to my understanding, he casted on talent, right? For example, Kelly Hu, an Asian woman, right, plays Devora. When I read that, I was like, what? Because I'm like, Kelly Hu? What? Because I only know her as an actress, as a film actress. And I'm like, okay, she's alright. Nothing special in my opinion. But her voice work is amazing. Yes, there's some effects on it in that particular role, but I've heard her in other roles, and I think Young Justice, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's really good at this. Now imagine if she was not allowed to play Devora because she's Asian. Imagine if they said, okay, Kelly, because you are an Asian woman, you're going to play Princess Katana. I don't think she would do bad as Katana, but that doesn't mean that her voice fits the character, right? I think, who is it? Carrie Strangen? I forget who voices her in this game, right? But I think that the voice that they got for Katana was a good choice. I think Kelly, the best choice with her was Devora. She did an amazing job. Or what about Steve Bloom, right? He voices Baraka and he voices Sub-Zero, right? Should we now say, Steve, you are not a Chinese man. Therefore, you cannot voice Sub-Zero. It's ridiculous. Or what about the guy who voices Noob Saibot? Noob was, as a human, a Chinese man because him and Sub-Zero are brothers. So do we have to now get another Asian actor to voice him? Because to my knowledge, the person who voiced Noob is some white blonde dude. When I saw him, I was like, that voice came out of that face? Oh my god. Or take about, for example, Sindel, right? As much as I hate the recharacterization, and as much as I feel that they have completely butchered the character in Mortal Kombat 11, I have always, in every video where I've ever mentioned that Mara Jano, a black woman, did an amazing job on that character. And she's voicing a character who, for lack of a better term, is a white woman. Technically, Adenians aren't even human, right? But if you look at her design, she's obviously meant to be Caucasian. Should we now take that role from her? This role, which is, I think, at least in my opinion, as a gamer, I think it's probably her, at least for me, her most iconic role. I literally cannot hear anybody else but her in that role, right? So should we take that from her because of her race? Take that from her and go, okay, because you, Mara, are a black woman, you can only play either Jade, who is light enough to be biracial, right, or Jackie Briggs. Why should she be limited in this way? What if she doesn't want to play Jackie Briggs or play, possibly, biracial Jade, right? Why should she be limited to that? If she auditioned for the role of Sindel, because that's the role she wanted to play, why should she be limited? Why should we start instituting this practice of, well, if you're this gender and ethnicity, and if you are a certain gender and ethnicity, you should only voice that character who's like you. Like, for example, right? I'm biracial, so it's like, okay, you should play Elisa from Gargoyles. Hell no. I love Elisa. And the voice actress who voiced her, Sally Richardson, was the perfect choice. I can't voice act. I can't act at all. My voice is not going to fit that character. My voice is too heavy. It's good for very evil laughs. I would audition for like Brian Fury and that laugh he does. But my voice, this voice, is not going to fit with Elisa's character. I wouldn't want to be cast as Elisa just because I happen to be of the same gender and ethnic makeup and city as she is. Those are not reasons to cast me. Those are not reasons in most instances to cast anybody. This, I find, is incredibly limiting. And then, of course, in my conversation with Mr. Woods here, he talks about how, it's the man, it's the racist, it's Hollywood. I'm like, okay, then why hasn't Tyler Perry come out with a vampire film yet? Because he's talking about how, you don't want any black characters. Look at Blade. I'm like, you do realize Blade was made by a white man and promoted by a white company. I got no problem with Blade or Black Panther or Storm. I think they're great characters, especially Storm. I'm a huge Storm fan. But they're Stan Lee's creations, from Stan Lee's company. Stan Lee was not a black man. Okay, he wasn't. It's just simple as that. The only like for us by us black comic company that I can remember is Milestone Comics. And a lot of their characters, in particular Static Shock, got bought up by DC. Right? So when I asked him, it's like, well, why hasn't Tyler Perry made a black vampire film yet? Right? Why haven't black creators in Hollywood made the new black stories featuring vampires and featuring wizards and all this other stuff? Can't answer that question. You try to throw it back on me. It's like, well, you don't want to see black people succeed. It's like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. You're the one saying, oh, it's white Hollywood. It's white Hollywood not giving us a chance. So then when I say, well, why aren't the black men and black women, but especially black men, because a lot of the creatives, Tyler Perry, Jordan Peele, right, those types who actually make movies now, tend to be black men, right? So why haven't they done that? Why hasn't Tyler Perry expanded his creative vision beyond, Southern Baptist church movie tropes? Ask him that. Why aren't the black creators stepping up? Why aren't the ones who have the means stepping up and telling stories about vampires and wizards and sorcerers and sci-fi and everything else? Why aren't these stories coming from black creators? Everybody wants to complain about the white man. It's the white man holding us back. No. It's the white man giving us opportunities. It is the white man giving us opportunities. And Everybody wants to yell at the white man instead of saying, "Thank you, sir." Everybody wants to yell at Star Trek and all this stuff and white creations and whatnot, but it's like that's how we're getting these characters. White people, white creators, Gene Roddenberry, Stan Lee, and many others are doing better at making black characters than black creators are. And I feel like sometimes I'm the only person noticing this. But then when I bring it up, it's like, oh, you don't want black exposure. It's like, fool, you're the one who doesn't want black exposure. You want sloppy seconds from the very white Hollywood that you claim is holding us back. Make up your mind. Which one is it? So as you can imagine, this has got me quite heated because I just find it so damn stupid. Just cast on who's the best person for the role given the circumstances, right? Whether it's availability, whether it's money, whatever it is, right? Phil LaMarr should be able to voice whatever character roles he can earn. That means he can voice black people, he can voice Romanian vampires, he can voice samurai, he can voice aliens, he can voice whatever they feel his voice works for. Because that's what's important. Not his skin tone, his voice. And I say that for every other character. Let me give y'all a final example, right? One of my favorite voice actors is Crispin Freeman. And it's less because of his work and more because, although he does great work, but more because he's such a student of storytelling, right? And he was telling this story, he's told it many times, because he often gets asked about how he came into the role of Alucard in Hellsing, right? So he tells this story about how when he was brought in, they already had someone cast as Alucard, but the voice director wasn't happy. It didn't sound right. And Crispin always explains that it wasn't that the actor was bad or they didn't have the right voice. The actor had the right voice, but the actor couldn't find the character of Alucard, right? Couldn't find it. And that was what was frustrating the voice director. So he had a conversation with the voice director, and they spoke about the character of Alucard. And what Crispin pointed out was the fact that when he was talking about Alucard's psychology, he pointed out the fact that Alucard's bored, right? He's royalty and he has no one to challenge him. He's bored out of his skull. That's why he allows Integra to control him, because he's so impressed with her strength and her force of personality that he's like, you, of all people, are the only one who has the balls to actually make me interested and follow you. So I'm going to let you hold the reins. And it's that psychology, it's that understanding of the character that Crispin applies to the role of Alucard, because he's an actor. First and foremost, he is an actor. He understands the character. So it allows him to play the character in a certain way. Crispin Freeman, to my understanding, was not cast because he's white. He's not cast because he's Romanian, because he's not, to my knowledge. He was cast because he had a very distinctive voice. And most importantly, he's an actor, and he understood the character. He was able to bring what was missing from the role. And that's why it's one of his most iconic roles, because he won that role through his acting and his understanding of the character he's supposed to play. Doesn't have a damn thing to do with the fact that he looks like an elf. Really, I love Crispin, but the man looks like an elf. In a very good way. It looks like one of those very pretty elves from like Lord of the Rings, but the dude looks like a real life Link, right? But it has nothing to do with his skin tone, probably with his gender, because not too many people in general, especially men, can have a voice as deep as his, right? But it's certainly got nothing to do with his race. We should be casting, or rather VA directors should be casting on talent and the ability to act. Right? Of all the things you should be concerned about, race should be damn near the bottom of the totem pole. So anyway, that's the video. That's the rant, really. Please let me know what you think. and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.